Okay, Shalom. Coming to you in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Makakwadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who told me the truth. And salutations unto the aftermath that continue to push the word in truth and in sincerity. I'm just coming back at you with this quick one. And the title of this one, for the love of the temple, profanity must be beaten out. Okay, because I was just meditating, I was thinking on a couple of things, and the Spirit gave me, brought this to my mind. And indeed, for the love of the temple, things pertaining to the temple, the truth, doctrine, the holy place, the sanctuary, the gathering, the people, be it the elect. Profanity must be beaten out and protected from coming in for the sake of the truth, okay, and for purity and for holiness and for righteousness. More so specifically dealing with the doctrine, okay. Now, I pulled up the word profane, and it says here, not relating to that which is sacred or religious, something which is secular, okay, non-religious, non-church, non-temporal, worldly, ungodly, impious, or disrespectful, or irreligious. Now, all true and good synonyms for the word profane, but I've got the etymology also of the word profane. And shalom to the brothers on the comment board, Yahweh Shem Shai, Barakatam. The etymology for the word profane, from the Latin, it says pro, meaning before, and fanum, temple. Okay, so when you put it together, profanus, it says outside the temple, not sacred, which is where we get the word profane from. Okay, you know, all right, that's where we get the word profane from. So from the Latin profanus, outside the temple or not sacred. Okay, so this is the meaning of that. Now I've got a quick. It's going to be a real quick one because Abarat Azar want to go live later on this evening, if the Lord permits. But quickly in the book of Nehemiah, okay, chapter 13, the 13th chapter, and I'm going to start from verse 17. All right, and this is the prophet Nehemiah, and it says from 17 on down. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? Now let's quickly go back to the synonyms for the word profane. It says what non-religious. Okay, now this is not necessarily a religion. The scriptures do speak of true religion, but in the colloquial term and understanding of the word, it's not so much that. Secular, temporal, worldly. Yeah. So basically, they were bringing in worldly things or things not to do with holiness or righteousness, which was allowed according to the law on the Sabbath day. So Nehemiah went unto them and said, then I contended with nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that you do and profane the Sabbath day? Why? Because the Sabbath day is a holy day. It's a day of rest. Okay, a day which is dedicated unto the Father. Right? We read in the commandments, which is a part of the law. It says 6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day is a Shabbat. For in 6 days they have worked, but on the seventh day is a rest. Okay, and you shall do no servile work, right? Neither your maid, nor your servant, nor your cattle, all right? Anything within thy gates, I'm roughly paraphrasing, shall do no work. It is a Sabbath unto the Lord, all right? And the scriptures also say that it's a memorial and a sign and a covenant between the Father Yahweh and the nation of Israel, okay? And anybody that doesn't keep the Sabbath is to be what? Cut off from among his people. That's the severity of it. Okay, so Nehemiah went and questioned the house of Judah and said, what is this evil thing that ye do and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our power, our God, bring all these evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. Okay, and it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates. Oh, bear me 1 second. So lucky about that, I got interrupted. But as it says here, where is it? Where was I? That there should be no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. Okay, so Nehemiah set people in charge of that to make sure that didn't happen. Now, verse 20 it says, so the merchants and sellers of all kind of war lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. So they still wanted to come in and sell, and do trade and do business. Okay. Then I testified against them and said unto them, why lodge ye about the wall? And if ye do so again, I will lay hands on you. Okay. From the time forth came they no more on the Sabbath. All right. So Nehemiah said, look, man, if you come here again to do business and to do trade on the Sabbath day within the gates of Jerusalem, then because of that, I will do war. Okay. All right. I will fight. Yeah. He said, I will lay hands on you, man. You know, you know. Now, we're not necessarily in a time where uh, we get physical, because that's not our lot. Now, the spirit was upon the Lord, put the spirit upon Nehemiah that, look, it's like that, man, because the prophets weren't, soft, and no, these were straightforward men. Hence why they've come back as straightforward men. And it's like, yo, if you're not getting the message, if you come here again, I'm gonna fuck you up. Okay, now there's a spirit of time, there's a spirit on certain time periods, there's a spirit on people. Okay, Nehemiah had one of those rough, straightforward, we can do this right now type of spirit on him. Now that was fine because it was the spirit of the time and it was the spirit that the Lord put upon him. Currently, it's not the spirit of the time. Okay, we're in the spirit of being spiritual and not so much physical. Okay, we're not going to fight nobody, we're not going to lay hands on anybody. Okay, not yet. We will, but not yet. Right now, it's more so speaking the word. But the point is the passion. Okay, the vigor and the love for the temple and the honoring of the Lord's Sabbath. Okay, which is still carried over, no matter what spirit time period you're in. Okay, the love, the passion, and the honoring of the Father still remains. Okay, and of His ways, which is His law, statutes, and His commandments. Okay, because the word passion goes back to pain. You love something, but through pain, man. So Nehemiah is saying, listen, we can do this, all right, if you don't respect the Sabbath. Okay, but that shows you that Nehemiah wasn't playing around, man. Why? Because he was defending the temple and Jerusalem from becoming profane. Okay, that's why the title of the lesson is "For the love of the temple, profanity must be beaten out." Now, more so, we're speaking about the spiritual temple, which is the brethren, which is bound together by what? The word. Okay, and I read verse 22, and it says, "And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Sabbath day." Okay, because the word sanctify comes from the Latin sanctus, which means to be made pure. Yeah. Remember, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of thy mercy. Okay. So Nehemiah said, look, man, bottom line, if you don't stop doing this, I'm gonna lay hands on you, beat you out. Okay, but we're now using that same concept, that same energy, passion, and drive, and love and fear for the Lord in a spiritual way. Okay, another example of that quickly is even our Lord Yahweh Shai. Okay, this is the book of John, chapter 2, and we're going to start from verse 13. And it says, "And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Yahweh Shai went up to Jerusalem, okay, and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting." Okay, they had a stock exchange going there, you know, different currencies and selling and all kind of stuff, man, all kind of traffic, all kind of business. In verse 15, and when he had made a scourge of small cords, right? You know what a scourge is? It's a whip, man. Okay. So when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overthrew the tables. Now, I'm not going to play it because of copyright and whatnot, but if I go on YouTube, um, there's a good scene of that in the movie, not Passion of the Christ, the movie Jesus of Nazareth. I believe it was Robert Powell who played the Lord, obviously Edomite. Got that all wrong. Well, nothing's new there. But there's a good scene of that where he went into the temple and he saw them and he started, you know, shouting. Because I used to watch that movie like every week as a child, man. I know the music, I know the theme music for each scene. I know all the lines for that movie, Jesus of Nazareth, man. I used to watch that every week as a child. And he went in the temple and he said, "Jerusalem, the faithful city, thou hast become a house of harlots and of thieves." And then he took a stick and he started smashing the table and overthrew it. And the producers kind of got that right, man, because that's what the Lord did. He said that he made a scourge of small cords. That means, what did he do with it? What, fan them? No, he whipped them, he beat them, man. Okay. And he drove them out all of the temple. Okay. And poured the changers' money, meaning he overthrew the tables, he turned it over. Okay. This is Yahweh Shai. Okay. That did this, man. All right. You know, and he said unto them that sold doves, "Take these things hence, make not my father's house an house of merchandise." And his disciples remembered that it was written, "The zeal of thine house have eaten me up." Okay, because when you're passionate, when you love something and it goes wrong or it's been treated incorrectly, it drives you to be angry. And as I've always said, and it's the truth, anger is not a bad emotion. Anger is a very good emotion. How you use that emotion can be good or bad. The scripture says, "Be angry and sin not." So you can be angry. Anger shows that, look, I love this. I'm passionate about this. Why the hell is it going wrong? What's going on here? Let's fix this. That's pure anger. But anger can lead to wrath, which is not so much good. Okay. But the point is, once again, Yahweh Shai, just like before Nehemiah, they both were eaten up by the zeal of the house of the Lord. Why? Because they didn't like to see the house and the city of the Father be profaned, okay, brought into an unclean state, no longer being sanctified, sanctus, or pure, okay. Now, as I said, and I'll reiterate once again, I'm not advocating physicality. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating going out there and people that don't want to listen, smashing their faces in and beating them. And I'm not saying do that. Don't do that. Because if you do that, you're going to get arrested. And if you do that, guess what? The Lord ain't with you. Why? Because as I said, there's a spirit of time periods. Okay? There's a spirit on people and there's a spirit of time periods. Okay? Case in point, even if you look within the Hebrew Israelite. Well, let me just speak for Great Millstone. Even before I was in Great Millstone and whilst being in it, even with myself and stuff like that, you see how the spirit changes. It's the same spirit, but it shifts. A gear shifts, man. It moves. And how I said that the spirit's like the wind. If you look at some of the older videos going back 10, 12 years or so, it was much more roaring, shouting, and why? Because that was the push, that was the fire. We're still in the fire, fire mode, but that was the real hot fire, rough, rugged, and raw, but now it's still like that. Some weeks at camp it may get like that. Trust me, it does. Sometimes you'll get like that yourself, but now it's more calm. It's more, you know, not so much the high street, but you may find a park and bring out the word. Like I said, the fire's still there, but the spirit shifts over different time periods. So I'm not saying go out there and fight people or do something dumb and get yourself arrested. Okay? 'Cause the Lord ain't with that. But the point is this: the Lord is with the passion, though. The Lord is with the energy, though. The Lord is with the truth, and the Lord is with righteousness. Okay, and what Nehemiah and Yahushua did was out of passion and righteousness to keep the city and the temple of the Father from being profaned. Okay, now the scriptures say the Lord dwelleth not in temples made with hands. Okay, because it's shifted towards what the people. All right, it's more now a spiritual thing than a physical thing. Like Jerusalem, Nehemiah was about to fight them over the city, Jerusalem, the city gates. It's no longer the city itself, but more so the city being the people. Hence why the scriptures say in Revelation, I saw New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven as a bride adorned for her husband. That's the elect. Christians will, in their pictures, will actually see a city floating down. No, it's the elect, man. It's the people. Okay. All right. And that leads me on to the main point of the lesson is to protect the word from becoming profane. Why? Because we're set in defense of the gospel, as we'll get. But this is Philippians 2 and 12. And it says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is the Most High which worketh in you both to will and to do his good pleasure. Okay, so now much more in the absence, you know, we are to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. A part of that fear and a part of that trembling is remembering, am I teaching the correct thing? Am I bringing in any worldly, as we went to it, the word profane, this similar words, synonyms? Am I bringing any secular vibe into the truth? Am I bringing any, worldly vibe or ungodly vibe into the truth? Am I bringing any disrespectful aspect and trying to merge that with the truth? Am I bringing other philosophies and trying to merge that with the truth? Am I being impious and trying to merge that with the truth? Am I violating? Am I desecrating? Yeah, am I defiling the truth? All right. Because as Nehemiah and Yahushua beat them out of the temple, we're to spiritually have the attitude, first and foremost, about ourselves. Because the scripture says, examine thyself, whether ye be in the faith. And second of all, to anyone that comes to you or I with any sort of nonsense, which is profane to the temple, being the word of God, okay, or the people, which is of the hopeful elect, that should be spiritually beaten out. There should be zero tolerance, a zero tolerance policy for anything profane coming to get in the way of the truth. Yeah. And that is done out of what? Fear and trembling. Okay. Why? Because we fear the Father. All right. And we want to do that which is right, not that which is incorrect, because there's a punishment for that. Yeah. Because Yahushua said, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise be changed from the law until all be fulfilled. Okay. So you can't change, you can't mix and extract and add and no. Whatever the Lord gives us, that is what we teach. The second Timothy chapter 3 and 14. And it says, but continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and have been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. So if you learn from the correct people and you get the truth, continue in it. Yeah. Don't go and mix other things, as I just said. Continue in that which you've learned, because anything else is going to be profane. Anything else is going to be outside the temple. Okay. That is why when people come with false doctrines and false messiahs and false ideologies and philosophies and try and merge it in or feed you that or sell you that, what's the attitude we have to take? The attitude of Nehemiah, the attitude of Yahushua. And the attitude of Nehemiah was the attitude of Yahushua anyway. Okay, you know, which is what? To spiritually, not physically, although they were acting physically, there was a spiritual meaning behind it. So what do we take from it now? Now that we're not in the spirit of being physical, but in the spirit of being spiritual, we take the same aspect and apply it spiritually. And when the Lord comes back to do it physically, then we will join him. Hence why Yahushua said, wait till I rise to the pray. Okay, you know, but we take the same attitude spiritually, which is to do what? Is to beat it out, beat out any sort of profanity, okay, from ourselves, as I said, first and foremost, and then to anybody that tries to feed you foolishness, okay, keeping the pure 100% doctrine. Yeah, this is the book of Philippians 1 and 17, and it says, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. We are set in what? The defense of the gospel, man. Okay, it's our job to defend the gospel. So when people talk nonsense, when people come up against us, we're not to shy away, but we're to defend the gospel. Okay, it's our job to defend the gospel. Yeah, all right. As Yahushua defended the temple, as Nehemiah defended the gates of Jerusalem, it's our job also to defend the gospel. Why? Because we are set. Okay, not because you feel like it or because yeah. No, we are set for the defense of the gospel. Yeah. This is the book of 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. And it says, for the most side of the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. Exactly. Yeah. So selling in the temple was confusion, man. Money changes in the temple was confusion. You know, business being done in within the gates on the Sabbath day is confusion. You know, people come with weird doctrines. It's confusion. But the scriptures lets us know in 1 Corinthians 14 and 33, for the most side of the author of confusion. So if you have confusion within the churches, which is within the gatherings, all right, within the congregation, then know that it's not of God, it's not of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Therefore, you go back to Philippines and apply this. We are setting the defense. Therefore, we beat it out spiritually. Okay, spiritually lay hands on that in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Makakadash and drag that out, man, because that is not of the Most High, as 1 Corinthians 14 and 33 has just said. Yeah, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 23 and 19, and it says, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not the eyes of the Lord. And knoweth not, like the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh, are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. Okay, the most secret part of this truth is, or the most secret part of knowledge which we've been given is this truth. We pray the Lord has given us, you know, the ability to partake within the truth, man. Okay, you know, but it says, beholding the ways of men, the Lord sees, man. The angels take record and see what you're doing, see what I'm doing, man. You know, are you treating the word of the Lord correctly? Are you teaching the right thing? Or are you going off and doing your own thing? Are you treating people and the brotherhood and what you're thinking? All of this is being seen. Why? Because the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. His angelic force report back to him. Okay, and considering the most secret parts or whatever, the most secret parts is what? The things you think nobody sees, the Lord sees, man. Okay, you know. So with that in mind, it's only logical, okay, it's only logical through fear and trembling to do and to strive to do that which is right, to not bring any profanity into the word or the truth. Okay. Finally, I'll end it on Ephesians 4 and 5, and it says, one Lord, yeah, one faith, one baptism, one power and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. Exactly, that's self-explanatory. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, man. So therefore, there's no room for profanity. There's no room for things that are worldly. There's no room for things that are of the world. Okay, there's no room for things that's unrighteous within the truth. Okay, righteousness and unrighteousness can't walk together. It's two completely different things. It's like light and day, night and day, man. Two completely light and dark, cold and hot. Okay, left and right, up and down. It's two completely different things, north and south. Yeah. So therefore, if that somehow even tries to infiltrate into the truth, we have to remember, that can't happen. Why? Because there's one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. It's as simple as that, you know. So it's been a simple one, okay. Like I said, Abarat Azam, I'm gonna come back later on for another live video. But this was on my spirit, so I just said, let me just do a video on it, okay, for the love of the temple, okay, be it the truth. This word and the brotherhood, profanity must be beaten out, okay. So with that, I hope it's been edifying, you know. Um, shalom to you, brother, that's on the comment board, and to anybody that may watch this later on. Yabashim Yashai, Bashim Makar Kadash Barakatam. But for now, I'm out, and I'll bid you shalom.